Hey everybody, welcome to my live stream. I'm Chris. If you've been here before, then you know what I'm doing. But if you're coming here for the first time, I'm doing a live stream, and I like to draw while I'm doing a live stream. Just try to work on improving. And I take questions from you, so feel free to basically ask me anything in the chat room. And then what I'm doing specifically right now. Sorry, I'm also like tweeting out that I'm about to live stream, so split focus. But I'm participating in Inktober, an annual event where people try to draw something in ink every single day. There are official prompts. Today's prompt was injured, and so I've decided to do Pennywise with, like, he's obviously injured somebody to say the least. Cool. All right, so I tweeted that I'm live streaming to all my social media, and let's take a quick look at who's in the chat room. Hello, see a bunch of regular faces here. Hello, Iron Shell. Hello, Atomicus. Hello, Franco, Roman, Alex, and James. Yeah, I've got a little Pennywise here that I've sketched out and lightboxed so that I'm ready to live stream. And then what's really cool is I'm going to, in an hour and a half, I'll end my stream right as another YouTube thing is premiering, and that will be a short film that I have a very small role in. It's a short horror film that a friend and coworker made. I think it's pretty cool, and so I'll end it and link you. I'll put the link in right now in case anyone wants to bookmark it. But that's going to premiere in an hour and a half, a little less now, and I'm going to also just set myself a little alarm so that I don't go over. So, I hope everybody's doing well. Let's see. Hello, Samuel and Sheldon. Hello, James and Sigamigs and Myopic. You do a lot of work at night, and it makes it feel like there's company. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we are all hanging out, so that's totally cool. Let's see here. Just want to make sure that I'm going to end my stream in time, so I'll give myself like about 4 minutes before the movie debuts. That gives me still like over an hour to draw. Hello, Lazy Cat Comics. So, yeah, in the meantime, let's have fun, let's talk, but definitely would be grateful if you went ahead and checked out the movie. And it's a premiere, which means that will also have a live chat room, and the director will be in there, the writer-director, and so you can ask questions, and I'll be hanging out there too. And I think that should be a lot of fun. Just a modest little production, but it was definitely something different and fun to participate in. And last night the movie actually premiered at we had it at a movie theater. I say we, I mean the guy that put it all together, Martin, had it premiere at a movie theater, and he asked me to be the host for the evening, which I accepted. And so I told some jokes, did some horror movie trivia with the audience, held a costume contest. People came in costumes with it being so close to Halloween and all, and gave away some prizes, did a quick interview with Martin, the creator. It was a great night. Did I like It Chapter 2? I liked it okay. I didn't like it as much as the first part. The first part was better. Hello to Alex, thank you. Hello, Brian, and Alex Zilla, and Chuck, and Mandela Butterfly. Great. Glad to have a bunch of you here. Trying to do this at a relatively reasonable hour. And so that's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm obviously doing Pennywise based very specifically on the most recent movies, and I think it was a good look. It was definitely a creepy, effective look. Yeah, it does make a scary thumbnail. Hello, Jack. Programming and schoolwork. Okay. Everybody's it's funny, I bet a bunch of you sort of recognize each other too at this point. We've been doing this Almost a whole month now. We're about to close up pretty soon, but I think we've had a pretty fun month so far. Just talking comics and art and pop culture. I've enjoyed it anyway, so thank you to all of you for what you've given so far. Of course, it's not over yet. We've got tonight, we've got 2 more nights, and I will be doing more live streams in the future where I just do art and take questions. But it's definitely a huge challenge to be doing this every night. I mean, that's a big time commitment out of like every day. So I'm sort of looking forward to taking a little bit of a break there. I work in IT, so discussion of the movie book can be confusing and awesome. I bet. Hey, Sir Drovius. Yeah, I was just trying to say that name right. Let's see. It's been a while since I've tuned in. Super excited because I love Pennywise. Cool. Creepiest comic villain. Creepiest, huh? Creepiest. Gotta think about that one. I mean, usually the Joker can be written pretty creepy, so, you know, it's kind of the gold standard, more or less. See, the TV miniseries I liked a bit at the time, but I think it was sort of hampered by its budget, and I did not love who was the guy that played like the comedian, like Richie, the adult actor. He was fine on like Night Court and Cheers, but I found him kind of annoying in the movie. The rest of the cast I thought was pretty good. But I just didn't think it was that scary, and it was probably just down to the fact that it was made for TV. Inktober can be overwhelming, but you know, I figured if I could get through Inktober when I was on a trip to New York without like, you know, access to a good setup and everything, and I was trying to, you know, enjoy the city and everything, I was like, if I can do Inktober through that first sort of 5 days or so that I was in New York, then I could definitely do the rest of the month. And that was my sort of challenge to myself, was just getting through those first few days. And I mean, I think you look at the art and it's like, I think it's, you know, you saw me drawing everything completely from scratch. It's a little rougher. I've had a little more time now during the day where I can sort of map out what I want to draw and then focus more on the inking, which is what Inktober is about. Lazy Cat Comics asks if I do an episode on Hellblazer. The answer is absolutely. Absolutely. Myopic, they're making a stand movie. Yeah, and I agree that the miniseries wasn't too bad on that. Like, that was an adaptation of Stephen King that I thought was pretty good for its time and for TV. Like, you know, I will give it those qualifications. It's not perfect, but I liked it okay. And they are making a movie version of it now, and I think that overall, that's my personal favorite Stephen King book, if I just had to choose just one book. Hello, Computer Man. Hello, Trump My Joy. Your art will never sit next to Leonardo's Mona Lisa. You're probably right. You know what? That person has a really good argument. My art probably will not be found in the Louvre anytime soon. Yeah, that's a really positive, supportive statement. What a sweet person. That's so nice. My art will never hang in the Louvre. That's not really one of my ambitions. So I think I'm okay with it. I'm gonna leave some areas that normally I just do completely in black. I'm gonna leave them open so that if I can if I have time, I'm going to do some Copic marker stuff on this. My fiance Chrissy really likes Pennywise. She thinks that the design is fantastic and creepy, and I agree with her. Hello, Alicemp. Longtime subscriber, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. I appreciate it a lot. You haven't read The Stand, Iron Shell? It's really good. It really is. It's epic. It's got a lot of interesting characters, and I think it's kind of timeless. And definitely, like, you know, like, ostensibly the horror is this epic virus that, wipes out almost all of humanity. But of course, the real horror is just like, can humanity, even when we're put like, under the glass, like, just a small microcosm of us, can we get along when that's the question. And I think overall it's got a cool answer. I like The Gunslinger. I'm a big fan of The Dark Tower. I would say that The Dark Tower is my favorite overall series that King has done, including anything he's sort of done a direct sequel to. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Dark Tower. I would really love for that to get a good film or TV adaptation, but I'd really, really want it to like use just about everything out of the books. Like really, like don't short shrift us. Give us the whole epic story so that it feels properly epic. How do you come up with all your hilarious openings to comic tropes? Well, thanks first of all, Jesse. That's a nice compliment. Do you have friends helping you co-write and come up with ideas? No. I guess I don't have anybody that's like, pitching me any ideas. All I do is like first I focus on the episode. Like, what do I want to say? I make the episode and everything. Somewhere along the lines, I'll sort of think of like, maybe a theme or like, a word, something like that could just like hopefully be funny, like to sort of lay in as like an action. I'm like, okay, well, what is, I don't know. If there's a lot of different ways to go, basically. And that's just because pretty much like what I'd really be love to be doing is just like comedy all the time. But I also like talking about comics, and it's like it's like a conflict. I mean, if you look back at my first episodes, they were all sort of trying to be funny with like jokes, and at a certain point I sort of said to myself, like, look, even though this is what I like, it sort of sometimes muddles the point when I have drinking games and stuff like that. I don't regret that because I do still find it funny, but it's like it requires a certain patience and buy-in from the audience as compared to just like, focusing on the argument that you're trying to make, or like, explain like what techniques are being used and how that's unique or special to that creator. So that's sort of more what I'm focusing on these days. But personally, I would love to just be doing jokes all the time. Just be covering funny comics or covering them in a funny way. Those are just my instincts is all. That's just my instincts is to riff on stuff. Which Dark Tower book is my favorite? It's a little tough. I mean, it's either the third or fourth. The third one, because that's the drawing of three and all the main characters come together, and it's pretty cool. Like, I like all the Ka, and that's like sort of when they're the strongest. And then the fourth one is mostly like a flashback to giving us like Roland's origin. And I do like that a lot. I think that's pretty dope. The Lighthouse is ripe for an inking. I hope I can get time to see it tomorrow. That's my goal. Yeah, I don't have any staff or co-hosts. Sometimes, like, rarely, but, like, sometimes, I'll invite somebody to sit in. But I don't have too many, like, friends that are super into, like, comics or anything that are, like, local. So that's been pretty rare that I've done stuff like that. Chrissy has helped a little bit, of course, behind the scenes. If I'm, like, I literally can't figure out a way to, like, hold the camera and do this gag, like she's stepped up a handful of times. Like if I ask her to, she basically will. But mostly I really want to do the show myself. It's all me. It's a very singular vision. I've said before how I don't really watch much in the way of like comic book channels or shows because I don't want their opinions to influence me. I feel like I'm not trained as a journalist, but I do want to like hold myself to certain standards. So I don't want to like influence myself with others' opinions. And so that just means that like for the most part it's a very solo show. It's more just to keep my opinions honest and straightforward, because I think that's the only real advantage I ultimately have is to present things in my own voice. Like, anybody could do any of the rest of it. But they can't be me. I'll get you a staff. The only thing I've been thinking of, and I've mentioned this lately, is I am thinking of hiring an editor. A lot of the show is formed in the editing. But if I had more time to really write it and stuff, maybe I could still lock in my overall vision. But it's something I've been thinking of, is hiring an editor. All right, let's see. The fourth one is the most tragic and romantic. I agree, so I guess I like that. Do I like Skeletor? I do. Yeah, I'll get Skeletor as my editor. Chris, I don't know what to do here. I've never used Adobe. That wasn't too bad, actually, of an impression, right? That actually, I don't know. To me, it sounded right. Hello, Wolf Whiskey. Hello, KZ. I appreciate how you actually review the material. You express your opinion, but I never feel like you're trying to subvert mine. No, I guess I take what I would consider a little bit of a scientific approach. I can have very strong opinions sometimes, but I'm open to discussion. I'm open to discussion because maybe I'll learn an angle that I hadn't considered. That's all. When it comes to reviewing stuff, is I'm open to hearing somebody else's opinion, and I feel like that's scientific because it's science doesn't necessarily lock in and say yep, well, we figured out gravity. They've got a working theory of gravity, and if somebody ever one day came along with a new rule of physics, they'd be like, all right, time to reassess this. Maybe that's not the best example. I mean, evolution maybe is something that's more fluid right now, but I like that science can sort of reassess itself and try to see if it really has figured out the best working solution for something. I wouldn't have made a good scientist. I don't have the patience for formulas and testing and retesting and stuff, but I would say that I've got several family members that are scientists, and I have a lot of respect for science. What do I think of the 90s It? Yeah, let's see. Hello, Terry, by the way, and I don't know if I said hello to Jesse H., so hello. Thundercats have had several comic versions. They had a brief one in the 80s, and then they had a more recent one in I think the early 2000s or late 90s. Anyway, and hello, J Muse. The 90s TV It was okay for its time, but I never felt like it was that scary, and I kind of want it to be scary. Honestly, that's still my problem with the most recent ones. There are a couple moments that are a little scary, but there's also just a lot of CG whatever that doesn't really personally scare me. Big monsters and stuff like that, not as scary as when a clown is killing somebody. The beginnings of both It 1 and Part 2 were really good. Don't know about the SWAT cats. Never heard about that one. Hello, Ellis Grieger. What questions do you get asked often in live streams? What are my favorite comics or my favorite superhero? Have I seen, insert the most recent sort of comic thing, like Joker or something? I get asked that stuff a lot. What pen am I using? It's okay. I know that not everybody on my streams watches every episode, so sometimes I'm up for repeating a little bit of what I've talked about. But I also don't want to dwell on it the second or third time, because there are people here that have heard me answer that stuff before, and I don't want to bore them. So usually I'll sort of answer that very quickly. If you ever see me give a very what seems like a curt answer, it's mostly just because I'm trying to be efficient for those that have heard me talk about it before. Oh, hello, cat. Here, I gotcha. Just jumped up. Chibi's here. CGI looks so fake. CGI looks good when it sort of like enhances something so that you can't always like, necessarily tell what's been enhanced. Do I like to color my work? I don't know that I necessarily personally like coloring, but I like the result of coloring. I do enjoy coloring with Photoshop. I don't have a lot of time to do stuff like that these days. I do like doing that, and I like using Copics. I don't get quite as deep a result necessarily, but there is something still kind of like nice and organic, and it's just kind of fun to color in what you've already drawn. It's a cool question. Yeah, watercolor's cool. Boy, you're skinny, little girl. You are so skinny. Alright, I'm going to have to put you down. You're a good girl. You're a good girl. One thing I liked in the recent movies was just like when Pennywise could just sort of have rows and rows of teeth like a shark. I don't know. I thought that was pretty effective. Have I tried oil pastel? I have not, but Chrissy is a painter, my fiance, and so like we do have, or I should say, I have access to that kind of stuff. I haven't played with it, excuse me, hardly at all. I honestly though, like one of my like sort of overall goals as I like live my life with Chrissy is to like slowly learn more and more about how to paint. She every once in a while will teach me stuff, and she lets me play with all of her materials and stuff like that, and it really is kind of cool to sort of just like say, you know what, I'm gonna just take a long journey. I don't know that I'll ever be a great painter, but it's something that I sort of want to like just keep learning with her. And I've done one or two little paintings before. One time I showed you guys a David Bowie painting, and I think I may have showed this before. One time, just for fun, I painted a clock with the 12 versions of like Jason Voorhees that have appeared in movies. So I've got like, from like 1 through 12, all these different iterations. Each one is based on the specific movie that he appeared in, and each one's a little bit different. I know they probably look similar in some ways, but each of them's a little different. It's not great, but it's my way of sort of experimenting and learning about painting. Little projects that interest me. Well, thanks for the compliments on the clock, folks. Have I ever inked something and had Chrissy color it? Have I? I wonder. We've collaborated a little bit, but I can't think of something that I've drawn and had her color. Oh, well, I take one thing back. One time I did like a caricature drawing of my dad and had her paint that, and that was like a birthday present. So that was sort of something like that. Penguin's makeup in Batman Returns was based on Lon Chaney in London After Midnight. That makes sense. Well, thanks for sending in some fan art, Graphite Grappler. I can't wait to see it. I have to admit, I haven't logged in to look at it lately. I basically, the day I record my episode, or really actually more the day I edit the episode is when I log in and grab all that art. No, it's when I record it, because I have I was right the first time, because I have to sort of announce the names of everybody and a little description of what they did. So that'll happen by tomorrow. Have I ever been commissioned to draw a coloring book? No, but I'm working on one slowly on my own. I've taken a break from it, but I'm working on like one just based on like the main sort of locations and stuff in Seattle, like sort of making a local coloring book. I should get back to that. Yeah, Chrissy, I didn't want to tell you what I was drawing, but I knew you'd like it. Chrissy thinks Pennywise is cool. She likes his design anyway. We're down to a little less than 4 weeks until I'm back in Japan, everybody. I'll be doing some content over there. I will be taking 1 week off, I believe. I'm pretty sure the first week of December I won't have a new episode. But what I'll try to do is have like sort of like just a bonus type video of like maybe like the locations that I saw over there. Just like there's some content, but it won't be a full Comic Tropes episode. Hello, Watchful and Harmonious subscriber. Hello, Roberto. No, Chrissy likes horror, okay. We watch plenty of horror. I mean, I'm definitely the bigger nerd there, but she's gone to see plenty of horror stuff with me. I mean, I'm trying to think. The Saw movies and like the Paranormal Activity movies. I know we went and saw like pretty much all the ones in those silly franchises. Hello, Daniel. Let's see. I was just wondering, what is the paper you're using? It is not Bristol, so that's an interesting question. Give me one moment here. I gotta move something and I'll show you. Chrissy got me this paper, and I like Bristol, but I really like this. It's called Paris Paper for Pens, number 234. The kind I get is by Borden and Riley, so you can see what that is here. It's similar to Bristol. It's pretty smooth. Actually, you can even see here that it says like it's good for pens and markers, and that's true. They don't bleed really or anything. A perfect paper for manga and other types of illustration, and I agree. So I don't see too many. I've never actually seen a comic book artist say that they use this, but there's got to be other ones that do. I think it's a really amazing paper that like really takes stuff well without like smudging, without being too rough. It's quite nice. I really like it. Yeah, Chrissy says she just doesn't like haunted houses. We went to like one haunted house type thing once, and yeah, I liked it, but I don't think Chrissy did. Do you remember the one, Chrissy? Like when it was actually like raining and we were like walking through like water that was up to our ankles? That was an interesting experience anyway. Favorite thing you like about the adaptation more than the source material? For it? Oh, the fact that they got rid of the sequence where all the kids pull a train on the girl. That was... Oh, Stephen King was definitely on cocaine at that point. That did not add anything to the book. So getting rid of that for the movie was a good idea. Oh, anything that's like been an improvement? I don't know. That's tough. Yeah, I agree, Brian. It would not. Yeah. Everyone kind of agrees. That is a bad idea. It would never work. I would hope that like even Stephen King himself maybe like would want to like have removed that if he wrote it today, but who knows? It never worked for me. In an otherwise really good book. Yeah, yeah. What do you call it? Like, yeah, I did think that the Boys TV show was an improvement, but like I didn't want to like repeat that argument. Basically, like someone who down, yeah. Um, I did think that like Boys. You know what it was? If I could like summarize real quickly, I guess my argument about like the Boys is that the comic is just talking about like sort of the inherent like ridiculousness of superheroes. It's a commentary on comics. But like the TV show has made it way more overtly about um, business, capitalism, which is something like a little more interesting to like a mainstream audience, I think, than like digging into the minutia and of comic books. I liked it. Less universe on turtles all the way down the line. Me and my friends will get to a haunted house and my bud will probably overreact. I think he will punch one of the attractions. Don't let him punch one of the attractions. Those people are just like teenagers working on minimum wage. Don't let him punch one of the attractions. You just can't do that. I have an ex-military friend who punched one when he got startled. Hey, if it's just a reaction, it's a reaction. But if you can like think about it ahead of time, don't punch performers that are like, just acting. They're usually just kids. Let's say, sorry to reiterate this, but you and your fans in the group, does anyone have any info about the Ape comic? Maybe late 70s, early 80s? No, man, I don't quite know what that is. From the movie Heavy Metal, which Tale of the Orb was my favorite? Probably the adaptation of, what was his name? Like, it's been so long since I've seen it. But like Bernie Wrightson was the original artist. It was a sci-fi book. I want to say like Captain Stern. Is that the one I'm thinking of? I think so. Carnies with Carney strength is a possibility, Rebel. That's fair. My favorite character from The Boys? Huey, I guess. Yeah. The one with John Candy. That was Den. Am I a fan of Gerard Way's comics? Not a huge fan, but I like some of what he's done. I liked the first volume of Umbrella Academy very much. I thought that was definitely a cool story. I don't actively dislike anything else that he's done. It's just that I can't say that like I'm going out of my way to pick up his other work. Hello, Baron. Let's see. Yeah, the one you're thinking of, Rebel, is Den. That was based on a comic by Richard Corbin. At least I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that name right now. It's been so long that all of a sudden I'm wondering if I'm just saying that with confidence and I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure I'm remembering it right. Yeah, Detective Chimp. Everybody's talking about that. Yeah, Detective Chimp. Maybe that's possible, Rebel, but I think that he is like a legit, comic fan and has been for a long time and knows the medium. And any writer can make a mistake or not even a mistake, but just like, write something that doesn't appeal to, everybody. But I don't know. I haven't read everything by him to know him super well. Like, I didn't read his Doom Patrol run. And I don't know what else he did aside from Doom Patrol and Umbrella Academy off the top of my head. I've looked it up before, but I don't remember right now. I'm getting hungry. I asked you this question a few Inktober episodes back, and you answered the Hogan family, but can you ask Chrissy what her favorite 80s sitcom theme song is? Chrissy, if you heard it, what's your favorite 80s theme song? Hey, my sister's here. Hey, Jean. What was the comic company in the 90s that had all these celebrities writing comics like Leonard Nimoy and Isaac Asimov? I don't know. That slips my mind. It eludes me. Have I tried out the new pen? I have not tried out the new pen yet. Still working on what I'm familiar with. No, I didn't read Justice League Dark. Is it good? Did Malibu do stuff by celebrities? Jeez, if they did, I'm not remembering that. Let's see people draw. Remember the time that me and my childhood friends got together, bring some comics, and just copy it. I remember when I made a comic and swipe most from Rob Liefeld, X-Force. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that Isaac Asimov ever wrote a comic. There may be a comic based on some of his concepts or something, but I'm pretty sure that Isaac Asimov himself never wrote a comic. Techno Comics. I do remember Techno Comics. Did they do a bunch of stuff by sort of celeb writers? I bet that they mostly had the celebrity come up with the concept and then hired comic book writers to envision that. I bet you anything. But yeah. How long have I been practicing art as a hobby? I guess my whole life. Yeah, I've always been drawing. Okay, Sheldon says that Kayfabe Comics mentions and discusses Techno Comics in the latest episode. Cartoonist Kayfabe is the name of that channel. So check out Cartoonist Kayfabe. Sounds like they've got that topic on lock. I have not seen the latest episode yet, but definitely would like to. You own the first X-Men comic Jim Lee illustrated. That's cool. I used to have that one. I sold it. But I do have the first comic that Jim Lee illustrated, Samurai Santa. Who can't take criticism? I missed something. Would I ever do an episode on FemForce? Might do an episode about the publisher. What's Kirkman up to since he ended Walking Dead? A lot of stuff. Let's see. I mean, he's got well, he's got TV shows. I mean, he's still got Walking Dead, 2 shows on TV plus 1 in development for Walking Dead, and he's got Super Dinosaur, the animated show on Amazon. For comics, he's doing what's his apocalyptic comic? I got to look at like my things that I'm supposed to proofread and see if I can remember. What is he writing here? It's not Reaver. Just looking at like the stuff that I'm supposed to proof. Sorry, just looking at some some things that he's written and that I have to look at. Oh, he's doing Outcast, Oblivion, and Die, Die, Die. So he's still doing 3 things. On the last page write-up of Walking Dead, Kirkman hinted at a Negan comic in the future. I can't speak to anything like that, or I would be out. I can't speak to anything. Should I remove the Hail Hydra from my LinkedIn profile? You know what? Might get you a few more job offers. Can't hurt. Who wants to read about Negan? Well, it's a character that Kirkman definitely likes. You know? There's a reason he stuck around so long. It was interesting to see like him write a pretty horrible character sort of on his path to redemption potentially, but I don't know if it's really possible to redeem that character. Just don't know. What if Hydra is hiring? Well, there you go. There you go. Image United will never be finished. That I can pretty much guarantee. It was an interesting idea. I would have loved to have seen Image sort of unite their superhero universe just for like, you know, old time's sake, but just too many guys going in too many different directions, really. But that's why Image, I think, has stayed around, is because their founders are still very passionate about what they're working on. I joined Cobra too. Yeah, my favorite thing is Monsters is great. Wait, she got West Nile and had to relearn how to draw? That I didn't know, Justin. That's amazing. That is amazing. Wow. I definitely recommend My Favorite Thing is Monsters. That's a really interesting graphic novel that works on a lot of different levels. It's interesting. I like it a lot. If I had a comic character sidekick in real life, who or what would it be? I'll take Spider-Man. He seems like a fun guy to hang out with. He's got a lot of friends. Hello, Funky Pat. Hello, let's see. Wildcats? Yeah, Wildcats should come back. Wildcats isn't a bad idea at all. Alright, folks, we're down to like about 40-some minutes until that movie I was in debuts. Premieres right here on YouTube. I will wrap it up just my stream a few minutes before. There's the link one more time. Set to premiere at 8 my time. Hello, Pineapple. If I had a quirk, what would be the pros and cons? Pro would be I'd be the most powerful guy in the world. The con would be I can only use it if I feel like it. Yeah, Wildcats is a DC property. It's because Jim Lee rolled in everything. After the New 52, all of his stuff is within the DC universe. If I could have dinner with any 3 comic characters, who would they be? Superman, Mr. Fantastic, and Samurai Santa. Hello, Gargamon. Gotta say these Inktober days have made you better or regain your hand. I think anytime you're drawing regularly, you start making little improvements here and there, so that's possible. Don't have dinner with Matter Eater, lad? Okay, noted. I didn't know that about Nora Freeze, but sure, that's something new. Gargamon's asking who is the better Pennywise, Tim Curry or Skarsgård. What's his name? I can't remember. They're both pretty good takes that are both very different. So that's a really tough question to answer. I'd say overall I like the recent version by Skarsgård a little more because he was a little more threatening. But for each time, Tim Curry's was definitely very, very strong. Adam Eve? Yeah, sure. Do you like the new designs of Superman? No, I have to admit that I like the classic design. A lot of people here respect Tim Curry. I like that. It's getting really dark. Give me one moment. I'm going to turn on a light. I'll be right back. I'm not leaving you, folks. Don't worry. There. A little more light. And I'm back. A baby's face in Pennywise's right sleeve. A baby's face over on his right? Is it cold? It's a little cold, yeah. It's a little cold. I don't see the baby's face, Chrissy. Sorry. So I can't promise anything yet, but my goal is to have the next episode recorded in on a DSLR camera, which is a big improvement over what I've been using since I started. So if I'm lucky, that means that the picture quality will improve. We shall see. Wish me luck. Bye-bye, baby. I messed up the nose of the baby. Okay. Well, I'm not drawing a baby. I'm drawing Pennywise. Let me do my thing. Why? Why are you giving me such heartache? You're tearing me apart. My buddy wants me to play Call of Duty with him, and I'd like to, but I cannot find my headphones since I moved, so don't have a mic. Babies are scary, and Lisa is tearing you apart. Oh, hi. Fave 80s theme. Chrissy got an answer. It took her a while. It was Mr. Belvedere. TV show is never really a step back. I don't think so. No. Superman works well in TV. Superman is a serialized story in the comics. TV is a serialized medium. I don't think he needs always a super big budget these days. Do a Mr. Belvedere impression? Okay. Give me more food. I'm Mr. Belvedere. I never watched Mr. Belvedere, but I've seen a clip or two, so let me think. He's like, Wesley, clean your room. I don't know, something like that. Was the kid's name Wesley? I sure hope I got that part right. I'm just realizing that I might be guessing on that name. Mr. Belvedere once sat on his balls, not the character, whoever the actor was. And it's kind of a famous story. A Lobo movie? I'd be down for that. Mom doesn't like hearing you chew chips. Sorry. John Hamm as Kingdom Come Superman? Sure. I hope he does play a superhero character someday. He's a little older now, but he's definitely got like the overall look of some sort of like, classic superhero. I mean, he's got classic leading man looks, and that's what they gave Superman in the comics. Like John Hamm would be great as a wide variety of comic book characters. He'd be a great Batman? Sure. John Hamm gets fan casted. Yeah, he does. And then the issue is, he's getting older, and of course, like, most superheroes are guys that are in their 20s or early 30s, and he's sort of outgrown that. But, there's probably still a role out there for him. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is playing Iron Man well into his late 50s. As long as you can sort of maintain a look, it's not a big deal. I definitely never read the comics and thought of Iron Man as being in his 50s. John Hamm played Gabriel in Good Omens. Well, that's close, isn't it? I think that, like, he'd play like a good sort of like I don't know, some sort of role where like that's like the leader that like puts the superhero team together or something like that. He could also probably play a good villain. Villains can be a little older usually in the movies, and no one really cares about that. Yeah, he would have been a good Max Lord for sure. I'm definitely excited for Star Wars. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm a big fan of Rey and the gang. So yeah, personally, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Now okay. So somebody just mentioned Star Wars, and that made me think of the director, J.J. Abrams, and he recently wrote like a Spider-Man comic with his son. I mean, I think that the real goal was to let his young son write Spider-Man. Did anybody read it though? I haven't read it, and I'd be curious if anybody's got an opinion on that. I wonder what his Spider-Man comic was like. Guess I'll have to buy it myself and form my own opinion, which is fair. I like doing that. Did Spider-Man make a deal with Palpatine? Not that I know of. Not that I know of. It is okay. This is tacky. Okay, well, okay is better than terrible. Good night, J Muse. Let's see. We're down to 30 minutes until that movie that I'm in debuts. So as soon as it gets to be that time, there's a link, and that movie will premiere on YouTube at 8 my time. So 30 more minutes, and definitely curious what you all think. There's a live chat, and I'll be in there, and so will the director. So looking forward to seeing people's reactions. Hopefully they're good. Last night's movie theater seemed to really enjoy it. It was a full house. It was a lot of fun, being an MC and telling jokes and running the crowd. I really enjoyed it. I like being the center of attention. What's this movie? It's just a short horror movie. And the premise is like, about a student that starts to go a little crazy. I play the psychology professor. Basically, just a sort of exposition type guy that's setting up some of the premise. So it's not a huge role or anything, but it's also, it's a short movie. I think it looks good. I think visually and sound wise, there's a lot to like about the movie. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope some of you will follow this stream to the end and then go check that out. I'm an actor now. Yeah. I filmed it like right before I got my diagnosis of diabetes and before I went off like Mountain Dew, changed up my eating habits. So I've lost about 30 pounds since I recorded it. So a little embarrassing in that regard to sort of see myself so pudgy and all, but it's not important to the story at all. Yeah, I'm acting like somebody that draws. I'm acting like I'm an artist. Gonna fool you all. I was talking earlier. Somebody asked me a question, and I don't know how it came up, but like I was talking about how I really do my show pretty solo, no real collaborations. But I'm just curious if I was able to do like collaborations with like another YouTuber out there. Who do you think I should collaborate with? Is there anyone who's like sense of humor and like style of making like videos it would make sense for me to like approach? I do like collaborating with people. It's one of the things I enjoy about comics the most, honestly, is that it's a very collaborative medium. You could do it all yourself, but I like collaborating with other people in comics. Let's see if any I could play Jack Kirby. Yeah, just give me a cigar. I'm friends with Harry Partridge. Yeah, absolutely. I consider him a friend. There's a chance, like, at some point we will do some sort of a collaboration. I don't want to just take advantage of the fact that he's an animator and just, like, take animation. But if I could ever, like, do a voice for him, for a cartoon of him or something, or if I could hire him to do something, trust me, I would in a second. I just like to hang out with him. Harry's a great guy. I'm getting a bunch of suggestions. Atop the Fourth Wall. I'm aware of that one. Again, don't watch it, but I'm aware of it. Nerd Sync. Okay. I think I've heard of that one. I don't know Geek Volition. I don't know that. Comic Pop. Is Comic Pop the one where like three guys sit on a couch and talk comics? I think I know that one. I'm pretty sure I know that one. Diversity in comics. I don't know if we'd get along just because I've heard that guy kind of hates a lot of like Marvel and DC stuff. I could be wrong, but that's what I've heard. I don't know if I'd want to be in the position of defending that per se, because while I like it more and I'd get defensive, but I'm not sure if it's still not my art. I don't want to defend something that I didn't make necessarily. I don't know. Linkara, just pretend I can't stand Stan Lee. I love Stan Lee though, even though he wasn't the best person. I love Stan. Collab with Chrissy. I love collaborating with Chrissy. Comic Drake. Okay, Comic Drake. Captain McKnight. I don't know. Let's see. Captain Midnight. Comic Drake is cool. I don't think I know Comic Drake. Sorry, guys. I'll look it up. Okay, I did get Comic Pop. Tiffany, the main guy's wife, honestly has the best taste and insight. Okay. Brian Shearer. Brian Shearer, I'm aware of his work because he does G.I. Joe. He did a video for last year's, not this past year's, but the year before for Cobra Convergence, where like a bunch of G.I. Joe channels all sort of do like something Cobra themed. Because I've participated in that for a while. So yeah, I'm familiar with Brian Shearer. Well, his work. He's talented. Any chance of covering more Mark Bagley stuff? I would never say no. Someday I will. That was a joke. Let's see. What did Samuel say as a joke? I think Samuel said work with me, but he's saying he's joking. Okay. Some comic book channels are really hate cults. Well, that's too bad to hear. That is too bad. I think that, comic books don't have to be fun. Comic books is just a medium, so you can definitely do serious topics. I'm not saying that like comic books should always be fun and everyone should always be happy when they're talking about comic books. I'm never gonna like argue something like that. And I also would never presume to say like everything in comics is good and you have to like it. Definitely don't think that. But criticism and like just sort of like ranting are two different things. I would say that much, and I would say that like once you make your point, be ready to move on. So like some people are saying like, would I do another episode about, for instance, Mark Bagley? I might, but not in the immediate future, because for now I've said my piece and I'm ready to move on to a wide variety of other topics. When you draw, how do you know what to ink and what to shade? It's just sort of like deciding like where the light source is. In this particular case, I've got like sort of like general light shining directly down on him. So if he's leaning over, a bunch of this stuff will need to be darker. There's just sort of like elements where like the shadows aren't going to hit. I mean, and then areas where the shadows are going to hit much harder. So but I'm not an expert. I'm just figuring it out. Am I going to collaborate with Phoenix Jones? I mean, we know each other, and I've had him on the show, but I don't have any plans for a collaboration with him. Phoenix did make one issue of his own comic. It was sort of a small press thing. He hired an artist, and he wrote it himself. It sort of tells his origin. So he gave that a shot. He does have interesting stories to tell. I'll give him that. I'd like to make my own comic about what I did when I was hanging out with him, but even though it's my story, I probably wouldn't I'd use fictionalized versions of everyone else, just because I don't have the rights to their names and likenesses, but I have the right to my own stories. And I think I would make that as a comic someday. Yeah, I guess I am a self-taught artist for better or for worse. Will you or have you done a comic trope episode on the Kubert family? No, definitely an important episode to do at some point. There's a few big names that I still haven't gotten to, and Joe Kubert is definitely one of them. And there could easily be an episode about either Andy or Adam as well. But I think first I should probably discuss Joe's work, the father. Founder of the Kubert School, an amazing artist who, really well known for characters like Sergeant Rock, but also in his, some of his later years, did some more real life, not biographical comics, but nonfiction stuff. Lot to learn from him. Lot of good things to say about Joe Kubert. I haven't done Fiona Staples either. Giving some thought to maybe doing Saga to cover Fiona Staples' work. The closest I've really come is I did do an episode about Archie, and Fiona Staples was the artist on that when I was talking about it. But I wasn't really focused 100% on what she specifically does as an artist. So I would definitely be up for discussing Fiona's work. Which I like, is definitely a little different than everybody else. So anytime you can carve out that niche and sort of be a unique artist, that's an accomplishment. Did somebody mention Hanks Fletcher? I missed something. I'm seeing the last name, so I'm thinking Fletcher Hanks. I switched his names. Yeah, I would talk about Fletcher Hanks someday. He's pretty... just bonkers artwork. Not honestly, if I'm being honest, it's not good art per se, but what is good about it is that it's eye-catching, and his creations are very weird, and therefore it's very memorable. So in that regard, I'm if I'm saying it's not good, I'm talking purely on maybe a certain aesthetic level, but on an entertainment level, it is good. So, yeah. Fletcher Hanks would be a good episode. If I'm searching Sports Center, Phoenix Rising, fast forward to about 4:30, guess who makes a cameo? That's probably me. A DC Showcase Sergeant Rock? Nice. I think for the longest time, Sergeant Rock was pretty much the most famous, World War II character. Nick Fury was like definitely, just sort of a knockoff. I'm pretty sure that like Sergeant Rock had to have come first, but Nick Fury maintained his relevance by moving into like the role of a spy in the modern day. So that was a good idea on Stan Lee's part to keep that character relevant. Who do you think was underrated artist? There's so many. I don't know. Do I have any favorite comic adaptations of Harlan Ellison stories? One I'd like to talk about someday is an uncredited adaptation that got Marvel into quite a bit of hot water. It was a Hulk story that essentially ripped off a Harlan Ellison story. Harlan Ellison called them on it, and they're like, ha ha ha. Our bad. So that would make an interesting episode at some point to talk about that close call. Dream Corridor, huh? Okay. An episode on Gen 13? I might. What I would probably want to do is something on J. Scott Campbell, and if I did, I'd want to talk about how I definitely discovered him because of Gen 13, and I still think that might be the thing that I like most that he did. He did improve as an artist, but I like the weirdness of those early comics, and I miss it. These days, he pretty much just does covers, I think. It's been a long time since I've seen him work on a comic. A book about anti-gravity. That sounds fun. It's a Software Agents TV. Talks about Dream Corridor. That sounds good. You say Robert Corbin episode. Wasn't it Roger Corbin? Best sci-fi comic? Out of what's out today, I'd say Rick Remender's book. What is it like? 7 Past Oblivion or whatever. 7 to Oblivion. Forgetting the name of it. Remender. 7 to Eternity. Oh, I was thinking of Kirkman, so I was mixing in Oblivion. 7 to Eternity is a pretty good... well, that's maybe more fantasy, I guess. But Black Science and Low are both good sci-fi comics. Purely best, I don't know, maybe Akira. I would call that a sci-fi book. What do you think would be a comic trope that you think you fall into on your own art? Probably being over-reliant on reference. It's something you guys have seen me, like, if I draw from scratch and just then go to inking without an intermediary stage, it can be very sort of loose, and I feel like not detailed enough. But when I have time, I'll like create that drawing, and then I'll like recreate it, like looking at like reference, and then I'll light box it so that I've got something nice and clean to ink like this. And I think it loses some energy, so that's a problem that I'd want to work on. That's something kind of endemic to my art, and something that probably keeps me from feeling like I'm at any kind of a professional level. I think that like it's hopefully every artist can sort of identify some of their weaknesses. It's hard to recognize all of them. It's hard to recognize how to improve on them. But it's a journey, and I'm just trying to loosen up. One thing I do to loosen up is I try to go to live art sessions, like Dr. Sketchy's, if you've ever heard of that, where you'll have a model and you'll have timed sessions to just like a 1 minute session, a 2 minute session, 5, 10, 20, and each time hopefully you can get more detail, but you're trying to focus on different things with different amounts of time, gesture and shading. So yeah. Richard Corbin. That's it. Yeah, not Roger either. I didn't get it. He has some interesting Hellboy comics that he did illustrated. Recommend looking those up. Hello, Captain Negativity. Folks, we're down to just a little over 10 minutes until the movie debuts, so I'm going to have to wrap this up pretty soon because I want to be available in that chat room, and I let's just say I'd be grateful if anyone wants to move over and sort of see the film. Again, don't expect a lot out of me. I've got a small role in it, but it's also not too much of your time. It's something like 17 minutes, so it's pretty short. I think it's pretty cool for an indie local horror movie. Post the link again. Yep, here comes the link, and I'll post it again at the end. Tomorrow is Catch. Are there horror movies about fishing? That's an interesting question, Care Bear. Nothing leaps to my mind off the top, but there's definitely movies where a victim is tied up, It Follows or Get Out, those are movies where the main character has been caught, so that could be a potential. I'll have to keep thinking about it. Piranha. Yeah. Piranha. I already did Jaws, so that's a tough one, but Piranha. I liked that goofy remake of Piranha 3D. Not the sequel, but the Piranha 3D I thought was pretty entertaining, goofy movie. The one with Adam Scott and whoever Elizabeth Shue, I want to say. Anyway, I thought that one was pretty entertaining. It Follows and Get Out, yeah. Someone disliked the video. Some people just don't like me, and that's okay. I don't care. I could draw someone fishing up Jason Voorhees. Yes, I could, Michelle. Let's see. It's not a horror movie, but the Fireys throwing their heads around in Labyrinth was freaky as a kid. Yeah, I mean, it was meant to be a little freaky. I agree. There were a couple cool visual elements that would be sort of disturbing to kids specifically. We should do a countdown until the movie premiere. Well, I'll mention that it's coming soon. It's Inktober, so you're focusing on that, but would you consider doing a video in which you show more of your process sketch to ink or sketch to color? I would definitely consider that, Gary, but I don't know that it would necessarily be super educational. I'm not trying to present myself as, a working professional at, mainstream comics, but I'm not against doing that idea at all. I can at least explain how I approach each step, and maybe if I did it as a live stream or something, people could come in and ask questions or talk about what they do differently, and we could evaluate whether there's a benefit to one way or another. Definitely not against that idea at all. You're interested in the process? Well, that's fair. Yeah, James Cameron worked on Piranha 2. That is true. James Gleason got that right. Why does that say shit? Okay. Let's see. Jean says, Mom and I found a kitten in a tree in her backyard. Did you keep it? Did you take it to a shelter? What'd you do? You should give it to me. Pennywise still looks hungry. Yeah, I'd really hope that I'd be able to get a little further along with this so that I could move on to a stage of coloring it. But this is about what I can get accomplished with what I've set out for myself within this hour. That's okay. She's still in the tree. Oh my goodness. I wish I lived close so that I could come over and help. Get that poor little kitten out of the tree. Don't you have a ladder or something that you can get closer? Call Superman. I hear he's really good at getting cats out of trees. Call Catwoman. Call the fire department. I have no idea, Captain Negativity. I don't know. You guys can still see it, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, 40 Superman would destroy the tree in the neighborhood. I'm never going to allow this to happen again. No more trees. I love that one where, somebody dies in a car accident, so Superman just destroys every car manufacturer and, sales car lot and everything. Wow, Superman, that might be a bit of an overreaction. Put a lot of people out of work that day. Oh. What are you saying? Okay, so we are down to about 4 minutes until the movie that I have a small role in premieres on YouTube. And I'm going to be in the chat room since it's a premiere, so that means everyone will be watching it at the same time. After it's premiered, it's going to be available for anyone to see whenever they want, but there's a premiere initially so that we're all seeing it at the same time. I'll link again here. So you'll see a link there in the description. We will be doing a premiere in a moment. I'm going to take off shortly, and I will be in the chat room with anyone else that wants to see it. I appreciate you all hanging out with me tonight while I worked on my Inktober drawing of Pennywise here. I dare say it came out pretty well. I think I like it. Good engaging pose for the most part. Did I ink it well? I mean, that's the question. I don't know. I like it. Still, there's always improvements to be made. I love horror movies. Cool. Cool. Today is the Animal Purge. They can commit any crimes they want. Yeah, today is Animal Purge. Man, I'm glad that we don't really have a purge. I personally have thought about it. I would not participate. I would not go around murdering. What I'm not clear on is, like, can you steal something and then they can't prosecute you if you did it on the purge? Or is, like, the next day they can, like, file a claim like any store that you stole something from, and they're like, yep, sorry, you're going to jail now because you still have possession of that thing that you stole. Like, I wonder how that works. It's almost like the rules don't hold up to much scrutiny. It's almost like that. The Purge. The second one was kind of entertaining, though. I like that one. What time is it? All right. Time to wrap it up, folks. This is the drawing. I am now going to go here. I'm posting that link one more time. I'm jumping into the chat room there. There's a short horror film about to debut. I have a small role in it. I hope you'll consider clicking that link. Heading over there right now. That's what I'm going to do. And I will see you otherwise tomorrow. My goal is to do this in the afternoon again. So I will see you for that then. Keep reading comics. And until then, I will see you potentially in this chat room for the horror movie I did. Bye-bye or au revoir.